Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Liam Freeman. I'm the Associate Director of the Creative Industries Programs in the College of Vocational Education here at RMIT University. For today's presentation, I'm joined by Christina Rose, who is the Program Manager of our Fashion and Textiles Vocational Education Programs at RMIT. Christina will introduce herself to you all shortly. But today we're going to tell you a little bit about our fashion and textiles programs, which include areas such as fashion styling, textile design and development, fashion design and technology, fashion and textiles merchandising, as well as custom-made footwear. All of these programs are world-renowned and allow students to work and learn across a variety of disciplines to replicate real-world experience and develop the deep discipline skills needed once they start their careers. But before we get underway, I would like to acknowledge, on behalf of RMIT University, the people of the Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nations, on whose unceded lands we conduct the business of the university. RMIT University respectfully acknowledges their ancestors and elders past and present. RMIT also acknowledges the traditional custodians and their ancestors of the lands and waters across Australia where we conduct our business. RMIT is committed to redefining its relationship in working with and supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander self-determination. The university's goal is to achieve lasting transformation by maturing its values, culture, policy and structures in a way that embeds reconciliation in everything we do. In line with the principles of Bunjil, we are changing our ways of knowing, working and being to support sustainable reconciliation and activate a relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous staff, students and community. So welcome and thanks again for joining us and listening in so far. It's now a pleasure for me to pass you over to Christina Rose, who will take you through the remainder of this presentation. But before I hand over to Christina, a reminder that you are able to post questions, any questions that you may have, into the chat function of the session, and that Christina will have about 10 or 15 minutes at the end of her presentation to respond to some of the questions towards the end of the session. So welcome once again and thank you, and over to you, Christina.
Thanks, Liam, and welcome to everyone who is interested in the fashion and textiles industry. What an amazing time our industry has had over the last 5-10 years, let alone over the last 18 months. It's an enormous industry. It's worth around $27 billion. It employs 500 million people at various levels within the industry. And over the last 18 months, we have gone through the most extraordinary evolution in our industry, where you may have noticed, if you're sitting at home, that your favourite store has not survived, or the alternative, that your favourite store has actually survived and changed its model of how it works. We've had to move with the times. We've had to take things offshore, back onshore. We need to turn things around and include home shopping and the internet. In our programs that we're going to talk to you today, based at RMIT Brunswick campus, we like to think of our many program offers as an express lane through to industry. We are preparing our students for the changes that have been made in the industry over the last 18 months and the changes yet to come. So let's launch right into it, and we'll have the next slide. Thanks, Saya. We're starting the conversation around the Diploma of Fashion Styling. Again, the Diploma of Fashion Styling is based at the Brunswick campus. It is a one-year full-time program. And if you have thought about getting into the fashion industry, looking at what's happening in Instagram, what's happening in purchasing of product online, what happens behind the scenes with fashion shows that you can see that are aired, free to air for many people who are interested in the fashion industry. This is one of the best ways of starting in the industry. Next slide. But rather than me tell you exactly what is fashion styling, let's hear from one of our students, Christina, and we'll play this video. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Christina Papadopoulos and I'm a fashion stylist. One reason that I believe styling is so important is because it has the ability to tell a story. From the colours, to the silhouette, to the accessories, and everything else in between. It can change the way someone sees something or even sees themselves. Personal styling has the power to change a person's whole mood, look, and lifestyle. It could be redoing a wardrobe, planning outfits for a seasonal occasion, or even a special event. This process begins with the client and their needs. You become their go-to. You start with the colour palette and then move on to the mood boards. That gives a clear representation of what the client is looking for. You look into their skin colour, body shape, likes and dislikes. This will form their own style aesthetic. Finishing off with accessories to tie everything together. This process is both challenging and rewarding.
So as you can see, how many people are needing stylists nowadays. And we'll go to the next slide where we look about the different areas that we teach you. Across fashion styling, you need as a stylist an understanding and expertise in photography, marketing. We do teach sewing, which some people would be sitting there thinking, why do we do that? But if you're on a photo shoot as a stylist and something needs taking in to fit a particular model, you need to be capable of doing that. We look, of course, at social media, personal styling, like the video you just saw. How do you bring merchandise together? We call it style merch, but how do you bring that product together to make it look amazing? Then in the final semester, you look into professional practice. How do you run a practice? How do you bring everything together and make it your own business? How do you do styling within the media? Editorials. So, of course, that's around magazine stylings. You have work placement. You look at fashion trends. How do you predict the trends of what are coming and predict it beyond what the consumer is even thinking? And of course, we look at events, styling for events, and you actually get to run your own event. So the next slide will show you a few things of the industry projects and how styling with a student needs to collaborate with so many different areas. So we'll run this video. It just gives you a taste of what happens. And we might stop that video now. And as you can see, stylists need to be able to work collaboratively with hairstylists, with makeup artists, with photographers, with video artists, with models. There's so many people that bring a team together to be able to work something really well and creatively, but at the centre is the fashion stylist. And you will, over the course of a year, gain all the skills to be able to step into any area of fashion styling. Now, we also do industry projects, and as you see here, this is a project that we do in collaboration with the Australian Red Cross. It's something we're really proud of. When we look at the Australian fashion industry, there's often a lot of talk about sustainability, of how do we reuse, recycle, redefine what is already out there in the marketplace. And working closely with the Red Cross is one way that we can give back to the industry. Our students look at forward trend forecasting, and then we literally go into some of the Red Cross stores. Obviously not over the last 12 months, we haven't been allowed to, but we have been able to get their product anyway. And we bring that product together with models and our styling students, hair and makeup, and we put together a photo shoot, and when we're able to, a fashion show as well, which takes pre-loved clothes together into a new way of looking at what the future of the industry is. This is an amazing, long-standing collaboration that we do, and we're really proud to continue with it. So next slide. So in terms of your career outcomes, over the course of this talk, I've mentioned a few of them. Students of ours go into social media fashion stylists in the retail sector, creative specialists, they work with magazines, catalogue, online and print media, wardrobe stylists for film and TV. Those are just some of the areas that students have gone into work. They've also gone into starting their own businesses, and they work as stylists for clients as a personal stylist. Next slide, thank you. As we said, it's a one-year full-time program, and applicants just need to complete very simple tasks. A statement describing why you want to do this course, what it interests you, and then a simple folio of maybe a few images of how you've styled yourself or someone of your family, the before and the after. And that gives us a really good idea that you're right for this program and this program is right for you. Next slide, please. So moving on to another amazing area that we cover in fashion and textiles, and it's textile design, development and production. Next slide. Across the certificate in textiles, again, this is a one-year program, but it is available 1 year full-time and also 3 years part-time if this is something you're interested in. Our students get out into industry. They look at some of the industry that is still there and enjoying a resurgence in growth. And this is just one place that our students went to over the last few years, to the Great Ocean Road Woollen Mills. Next slide, thank you. It is an amazing year of self-discovery and craft and arts and understanding everything it is about bringing textile design together. So from learning the basics across fibres and fabrics, you also learn about design and drawing. Computer technology allows you to take those skills and take them into the computer space. So you learn across Photoshop and, of course, Illustrator. Design, influence and colour, understanding how colours work together, that you can bring all of these skills into experimental work. Or you learn how to knit on knitting machines. And then later on in the second semester, you talk again about quality and safety, very important when you do run into factory situations. Design concepts then take you into understanding textile design from some other areas, and sustainability, understanding about the choices you make, the choices in yarn, the choices in manufacture across this industry. And of course, marketing, because some of our students are interested in taking their skills and moving into their own area. Along the way, you also learn how to weave and print. But the next slide will start you to show you some of the other areas that we do. So here is an example of print. And this was actually a studio collaboration we did with Nerida Hansen project, and they did some print designs based on the Nerida Hansen company, and the types of things they would do in their product. The students then designed their own prints and looked at making up the garments with the company they were working with. So this is one of our students that actually won as a competition. And we often do that, and many of our students see that their work, even in this first year at a Certificate 4 level, their work ends up in production. The next slide takes us into the knit room. And here you go into what is almost like commercial knitting, but on a flatbed knitting machine, learning all the variations of stitches and colours and textures that you can achieve, as well as experimenting with knitting techniques. And the final slide in this area takes you into weave. And weaving, you learn on some small looms, which we were really fortunate just in the last week to be able to lend our looms to some of our students who are finalising their work, as we don't have complete access to the studios just for the present. But the students are able to weave the most amazing work just on small hand looms. And as you'll see in the next slide, we can take some of their work and look at some of the larger looms that we work on. So the next slide, please. And there you can see on the left the CAD drawings, so the design, and finally on the machine. So that's a jacquard weave machine. It's a very, very old machine. And I know that some of our students listening here today probably won't have ever heard of a floppy disk, but we need to actually save the designs and put them on a floppy disk to be able to get that machine running. I think it's probably over 50 years old. It is an extraordinary studio event that we can connect students with. Our studios are second to none. So the print studio, the weave studio, the knit studio allows students to bring their skills together in so many different ways. And this industry project that you can see here is one that brought the print studio particularly together with sustainability. And we did a project with Ethical Clothing for their 20-year celebration just at the end of last year. And this is showing some of our students' work, looking at ethical ways of producing product, so from the print and also from the usage of fabrics and from the fabrics and yarns selected themselves. So the next slide, please. So career outcomes in textile design. There are so many things that you can do from a textile designer across print, knit or weave. You may find over the period of a year that there's one area that you particularly have affinity with. You could be a design collaborator and working in the exhibition space, like this image here, which is actually from one of our teachers, John Brooks, one of his exhibitions. You can work across sustainable design or a fabric design artist. So many of us students walk into industry wanting to stay within the craft area of textile design, or they select to continue their studies and move into some of the other areas that are available. And we'll move into the next area now. Thank you. So as I said, 1 year full-time or 3 years part-time. Just a small personal statement about why you're interested in this. That's all you need to do to get into this amazing program. And this is a pathway that then sends you into so many different spaces of what interests you as an individual. And we'll move to the next program. Thank you. So now we start talking about fashion and textiles, fashion design and technology. This is an associate degree, and it covers across the 2 years creative and technical skills. It shares with you cutting-edge technology across Gerber and Lectra. So how do you bring designs into three-dimensional space and into a cutting room? We blend theory with practical skills, pattern making, design skills, production values, garment construction, and many, many more things. Again, at the Brunswick campus, 2 years full time. And we'll move to the next slide. Thank you. Here you can see the course structure of this amazing program. And you can see how it is connected across design and development skills, where we really look at textiles, fabrics, designing product, and introducing you as a student into the production room, understanding how to use all the machinery that would be used in a production space to make any type of clothing. We take you through pattern making from the very beginning, understanding how to draft a pattern from a block, how to fit a pattern for a particular person or size. In fashion design development, which takes you through into design concepts and design influences, that is our design stream, which teaches you along the way how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, as well as your own illustrations, and you're developing your own personal style of illustration and design. In your first semester, you might decide to do an elective, either printing for fashion or knitting for fashion, which also connects you to the realms of textile design. As the semesters go on, you build on those skills. We help take you from basic skills to someone who could make a pattern for anyone and anything. It is amazing to see what our students end up doing. And then in the final semester, we bring those subjects together, building on the prior skills of understanding production planning and pattern making and design. We then start working on a capstone event, which incorporates 3 different areas, as well as alongside offering the opportunity for students to take on work experience or an industry placement. So we'll go to the next slide and explore a little bit more. As you can see here with our facilities, our workshops are second to none. They are amazing. The computer labs, the screen printing studios and the knit studios, as well as the production room, which when it's humming with its 93 plus machines going and all the students there, it can be a noisy but incredibly exciting place. At the moment, through COVID, we have been incredibly fortunate to be getting our students back into the production room, just in smaller numbers. So it's been quiet, we can socially distance, and the students have loved being able to just get back into that space. So let's move to the next slide, shall we? We look across the 4 semesters in this program, again at sustainability and the importance of those skills when we're sending our students out into industry. And this image here just shows how one of our students has worked on a zero waste project. It's been an extraordinary thing that we have seen as we've brought into the capstone events in the final semester. And we expect our students to take all of their production, design and pattern making skills and then design something that is part of a capstone presentation to industry, but make a pattern and cut it out in fabric where you get maybe 1%, at most 3% wastage of fabric. When we look at ethical production, part of those ethics is how we treat our workers, how we work with factories, but it's also about being responsible for the products we use and the wastage that we create. So this has been an extraordinary project that industry and all the companies we've been working with recently are really excited about. It's taking our skill level of our students to a whole other space. So let's keep moving on. Next slide, please. The industry project, or the capstone project as we call it, is in the final semester, where students work with an industry leader. And in the next few slides, let's hear from some of our students, and we'll run a video and the students will explain what the capstone project is all about. So the next slide, thanks.
Our final graduate collection for the associate degree in fashion design and technology. It's a collection that we did in collaboration with Nobody Denim. We sort of were given a brief by them and we had to act upon it.
It's a final year range. They work in groups and each group member is meant to come up with 5 designs, and then between all of them it should work cohesively as a range.
At the start we kind of didn't have a full idea of where we were going. Yeah. We just had kind of a somewhat direction, but it wasn't like set in stone yet, and getting feedback from industry like narrowed down what we were liked, but we didn't really fully know where we wanted to go with it.
Just practice and be open to changing your ideas. Don't hold on to your ideas too much. Work together as a team and develop them as a team, and sort of come to the table with a concept that you're willing to build on as a group.
I think it really enables you to apply what you've learned so far in the course to something that's practical in real life that would actually happen, and it sort of gives you a taste involved, and the standards you need to meet for a real brand, and I think it's just the real life experience that it is.
It's nice to just get an outsider's point of view. When you're looking at your own stuff for so long, it becomes a bit tedious and you kind of forget where it was going.
It was more interesting to design something based on what a customer would want rather than what we would like as designers, because that's kind of what we've been designing up until this point. So yeah, to kind of think outside of the box and also put our own little sort of spin on it, which was really, really fun.
Always be organised, read over your notes every week, make lists of things you got to do, and just enjoy it because you can learn a lot.
The thing that I learned from this is that you can really create something so much stronger as a team than you can as an individual. It might not be as personal, but this is the proudest I've ever been of something that I've created, and it came from 6 people, not just me.
So as you can see here, and you've heard from some of our students, it is a project that we have worked with so many different companies, and these are just some of the companies you can see on this slide that we've been working with. At the moment, this semester, we're working with Country Road and also Cotton on projects with different groups of students. And one of the most amazing things to see is how the students learn to work collaboratively with each other. Because while design can be so personal and your own aesthetic so personal, it is so important, as if you're listening into this, I'm sure your parents and family or yourself as can bear witness, to be able to get along with other people, to work as a team, to be able to give and take, to disagree about something but still find a way forward, to understand that the sum of everyone's collective ideas and hard work is greater than if they were working as individuals. So we'll move to the next slide. Thank you. And these are just some of the career outcomes for our students. More and more, and I'll let you read through this while I just talk over it, because there's so much variety that we find our students moving into. And more we are seeing that companies are really wanting our students at the end of the associate degree because they are ready for work. They're ready to fit into a company like Myer, like Country Road, like Cotton On, or Witchery, or any of the medium-sized companies that we work with as well. because they have all the skills, the breadth of skills, the language of the industry, and they're ready to then be incorporated within a company and grow within it. We have so many alumni working with some of the best companies across Australia, and it's really exciting to see their journey. And we'll just move into one of the final slides. 2 years full time. You do need to complete a couple of selections tasks for this competitive program. And all you need to do is a small statement outlining why it is that you want to do something in the fashion industry. A folio of 6 to 10 images. Now, if you are in high school now and you're not studying fashion design or textiles, it doesn't matter. You might be doing graphic art, you might be doing visual arts, any of the areas that are creative. Just show your progress. Show some of your early work, the final work, and if you are working in clothing, certainly show through some images of that and share with us some notes about your thought process. It doesn't matter what area that you are submitting your folio from, we're happy to look at it. We just want to see your process of thought, and if you ran into a problem and it's not perfect, we love to see your reflections on that, because when you join us, the rest of it we'll teach you. And we'll just go to the final slide for this, where the students are just going to show a little video that they put together of their final capstone collection. Enjoy.
Image may contain one person smiling, sitting, and indoor. Drink, table, and indoor. Text, one or more people, and text. One person, two people, phone, and text. Phone, and text. 5 people, people smiling, people sitting, and indoor. One person, plant, flower, text, outdoor, and close-up. One person, tree, sky, night, snow, outdoor, and nature. People sitting, table, and indoor. One person, tree, sky, night, snow, outdoor, and nature. People sitting, table, and indoor. Sky, tree, outdoor, and nature. People sitting, one person, indoors. One person, one person.
So wasn't that video amazing? We don't teach video skills, but they teach themselves, really. And we were working with a company then, this was last year, where the company themselves were situated in Shanghai, yet we were here all working online. So we can achieve anything, whether we're on campus or online. Our other associate degree is in fashion and textile merchandising. And this is like the business end of the fashion industry. And we'll go to the next slide. Again, an amazing program of the associate degree. It again is 2 years full time, and it's really looking at the fashion industry to develop your business acumen around the industry. It's creative thinking, but it's also looking globally about the industry and how it affects everything and how we sit within the global landscape of the fashion industry. Next slide. So we look at social trends, we look at the marketing, merchandise planning, merchandise management, global impacts that's around sustainability of how we treat the industry as a whole around the world. And we look at digital strategies. So while we still do design, it's from a 2-dimensional state. We don't make the garments in this program. Next slide, thank you. So we take it back to basics. We look at maths. You know, how do you run a business? How do you understand the mathematics and the finances behind building an industry? It doesn't matter if you stopped maths in year 10 from high school. We take you back to the basics and understanding it from a retail and professional point of view. We do look at specifications, how product is brought together, and of course CAD skills, so Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. You learn those along the way through the semesters. You need to understand about fashion materials, because where these students tend to end up is along merchandise planning, so the financial side in the bigger companies, retail companies, but also in buying. So selecting merchandise, they need design skills and an understanding of product and fashion and materials to understand also the marketing and the selection process of product when you bring that into the retail landscape. And you can see highlighted here is the Tri-Industry Research and Product Development Project that spans across 2 semesters. But we'll get to that shortly. So next slide, thank you. These are some of just a very few of the companies that we have been working closely with over a large number of years. Supre from the Cotton On Group, Myer, Country Road. We also have worked with many other companies like Sports Girl, Target, and others that are big retail companies who are looking towards our students and seeing what they can come up with. We'll go to the next slide, and we're just going to put the sound down because this is a video presentation that a group of students have done, which is looking at product design and development for Country Road. So the project was around menswear, and you can see here where the group of students are looking at the customer profile. They're also looking at fashion trends. They understand then how they're going to design product based on a customer profile and who they are wanting to appeal to. They've also researched from Country Road of things that they do, and then they come up with marketing proposals that are different. They also look at the in-store environment for the product that they have designed. And all of this is then, as we go to the next slide, is what students then present to industry. So, and the next slide, thank you. So you can see where our students here end up as trend forecasters and product developers, but merchandise planners and allocators. This is the entry point into the financial arm of the retail and fashion industry. They understand completely about online merchandise management. They could be a production assistant, but they're also looking at digital marketing specialists, stock managers, and a buying assistant or administrator in the buying area. These are entry price points where the students then grow within the companies and end up as buyers or merchandise planners, which is sort of at the top end of the retail area in the fashion industry. And we'll go to the next slide. Thank you. This is just going to show you a video from students where they have presented merchandise and a whole marketing campaign to Sports Girl in this case. Thank you. And we might cut that video short there, but you can see some of the amazing things that the students have done. And just looking to the side, I've seen a brilliant question has just come across, and you're asking about the RMIT graduates, if they're well renowned and recognised in the industry. I can honestly tell you, yes, they are. In both of our associate degrees, I swear at the end of the 2-year programs, people like myself and our teachers, we become like mini employment agencies. Industry comes to us. They ask for our best students because they know that our students are ready to enter the workforce at any level. And yes, they'll walk into an entry level, obviously from the beginning, but they move quickly through the ranks in industry because of their willingness to listen, their willingness to work with others collaboratively, their broad understanding of the industry and all the different parts that come together to make this industry so unique. They have skills that have this amazing base across either of the associate degrees particularly, but also in fashion styling and textile design and development. They have skills that they can bring to any situation. So whether it's computer skills, whether it's research skills, an understanding of the consumer, of why they're designing something or buying something, an understanding of retail, of pricing structure. We sometimes struggle to have enough students to fill the jobs that are coming up. And I know this seems crazy when we're talking about post-COVID and the difficulties that people have seen in the industry across the last 18 months, but we are seeing a resurgence in the industry. We are seeing a need to employ new students and fresh ideas and a great understanding. So let's move into our final thing, but firstly, sorry, with the associate degree in fashion and textile merchandising, if this is the area that you are interested in, its entry is based on ATAR only, and you are ranked based on that, but it is an amazing program to try for. And if you haven't done year 12 and you have done a certificate 4, that is another way in. So you might like to look at some of our other offers in the certificate 4 level, because successful completion in a certificate 4 always also gains you entry into either of the associate degree programs. So let's move on to just one last little program. It's only a small one, but it is unique. Custom made footwear. Thank you. Next slide. It is, I know this is extraordinary, but it is the only footwear making course in the whole of Australia. You learn from the beginning of, and the next slide, thank you. In 1 year, you learn from knowing absolutely nothing about how to make shoes to something like this. And this is work from one of our students. It is amazing to see the progress that the students make just in 1 year. Next slide, thank you. Our workshop is second to none. I think anyone who's interested in footwear, leather, the hands-on experience, would love to work in this workshop. It is kept just for these students, and they have all the machinery they need to learn and make any style of footwear possible. And the next slide. We work with industry as well, and our students have then moved on to work with just some of these are just some of the programs, so the companies that our students have worked with. Nude Footwear is actually started by 2 of our footwear students. So thank you. Next slide. So career outcomes, often the students want to start their own businesses. and they're really interested just in the craft of making footwear. But some also go on to one of the associate degrees that I've already spoken about, because they want to learn more about the business side of the fashion industry and how they can add that in, or they want to learn the skills and knowledge around making garments as well as footwear. So it is an extraordinary small little business that that has attracted many creative students. Next slide, thank you. 1 year full time. It is a certificate for, so entry is really very easy. Just apply for it. Thank you. Next slide. So some important dates there. Vocational education across from whether it's a certificate 3 or 4 or a diploma or an associate degree. We teach you through an intensive teaching periods for 16 weeks, not the 12 weeks for higher education. So 16 weeks in vocational education. It is quality learning. There are so many choices. I hope we've excited you around at least one of them. The reasons why for coming into some of these programs, our teachers are incredibly connected with industry still. We give you work experience, internships, and we connect you with the industry and with potential jobs. So thank you so much for listening. I'm going to have a quick look at some of the questions that have been coming through and see if there are any questions. I know the team behind me has been answering as we go through, and I can see that pathways into the associate degree has been a great question if you're not getting an ATAR. There are so many different pathways. You could be looking at the Diploma of Fashion Styling, and successful completion of that will give you a guaranteed entry into one of the associate degrees. You might be interested in the Certificate 4 in Textile Design. Again, successful completion of that will give you guaranteed entry into either of the associate degrees. And of course, there is footwear as well. So never think there isn't a way through to get into an area that you really want to get into. The learning that you get from any of the Certificate 4s or the diplomas builds on your ability to be even more employable at the end. I think it's a brilliant way of starting. If I look through some of the other questions that have come through, when we're looking at this question around why should I choose RMIT uni over some of the other TAFEs for fashion design, it's a hard one. I think that there are so many different options around at the moment, but RMIT has been here for a long time. We know what we're doing. Our teachers are connected with industry. We're incredibly strong in our connections with industry. And if you look particularly at the vocational end of fashion design, we teach you the skills that you have to survive in what is a tough industry. There's no two ways about it. It is a tough and can be a brutal industry, but it's also incredibly fun and creative and can take you in so many different places. We can build on those skills that you may naturally have and prepare you for working in the industry and give you the contacts there. So I would ask the question, why wouldn't you study with RMIT? We have the most incredible facilities. The Brunswick campus is a beautiful place to be. When the sun shines, there's grass and lawns and places to sit outside and beautiful gum trees to sit under. And we have teaching staff who will help you along your way and encourage you to find your own journey. looking at some of the other questions that are coming through. This is a great question to ask, and probably something that we will finish up on with the last few minutes, is how have we been learning online? You know, it has been an amazing ride. If we think back to March 23, we'll never forget that date in 2020. We were given one day to vacate the university, and we were then given 5 days to put everything online, and we've done it. In the programs I've talked to you today, we have been incredibly successful in doing a blended delivery. When we can bring you back on campus and into the production rooms or into the creative spaces and the studios, we've been able to do that in a really controlled and safe way with social distancing and all the protocols put in place. But we have also been able to take the learning online. So for pattern making, we've done pattern making in half scales, so just small size, but you're learning the same skills. We do full scale when we bring you back on campus. We have done sewing as well, from hand sewing through to domestic machines, through to videoing our own teachers to show you how to do things, how to produce product. We have helped and assisted and cajoled and encouraged our students to make tailored jackets online, to create marketing campaigns online, to build on the digital space and how we can connect with our consumers in an online environment. Being online hasn't stopped us for one moment. Our students have continued their learning, have graduated successfully, and in talking to our industry partners from Myer, Target, Country Road, and the Cotton On Group, our students have gained skills that prepare them for the industry as the industry has moved to. And that's why they're being snapped up for jobs at the moment. And it has been an extraordinary experience, which I don't think will change. We will have blended learning as we continue. There will be choices. There will be streams where we can do learning just online for those that need to dial in that way. And I hope that we will see you in the new year and in one of our programs. And please reach out if you would like to know anything more through the chats that are available. And we really look forward to seeing you as new students in 2022. Thank you so much for listening today.